Why I quit Dave Ramsey. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'm gonna go over the reasons why we stopped using Dave Ramsey's program. Dave Ramsey, his radio talk show, and his Total Money Makeover completely changed my financial life. Funny story, when I got married, I was gifted Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover as a wedding gift. I didn't end up reading it at the time. A couple years later, I came across his talk show on Spotify. It was during a difficult time in our financial life. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we talk all things personal and personal finance. My name is Kellen, and if you're new here, consider subscribing below. We bring you new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on topics of financial independence, investing, budgeting, and savings. The moment I heard Dave Ramsey on his radio show, I was instantly hooked. I started planting little seeds to my wife that we should maybe start his plan. I read his book in about a day, and I tried to get her to read it with me. It didn't take too long to get her on board. We immediately started taking action. At the time, we were a single income family and we had one kid at home. I was making about $50,000 a year and we were really struggling just to pay the bills. We had over $110,000 in debt, split between credit cards, car payments, and student loans. I knew through listening to Dave that we had both an income and a spending problem. These are some of the steps that we took action on right away. I got a second job working in pizza delivery because of the recommendation by Dave. And it really worked out well because I made about an extra $2,000 every month. But I was working so many hours. Really, I was working about 80 hours a week between working my full-time job and my second job. We cut down to beans and rice, rice and beans. We had no life outside of working. We took Financial Peace University. We were taking all the steps that Dave recommended to get out of debt fast. When I was working the pizza delivery job, I could quote every answer Dave would give to a caller before they even finished asking their question. The biggest thing I liked about Dave Ramsey's advice was he was so focused. He believed in focused intensity, and I saw through doing his baby steps that that really did work. Before we started his plan, we had no financial goals. Really, we were just working and spending money. We were just living life. We weren't worried about retirement or savings or how much we were putting on our credit cards. The only time we thought about money was when we had to pay bills. After starting Dave's plan, we had regular conversations on money and our future financial goals. This really developed a new side of our marriage that allowed us to communicate more openly about our future goals and what we wanted out of life. We talked about future vacations we'd like to have together, where in the world we'd want to go and visit. We talked about life after retirement and how much time we'd have available to spend with grandkids in the future and being able to leave a legacy to our children. These were powerful motivators that helped us stay focused on our short-term financial goals. After working through his program for about 2 years, it really started to take a toll on me that Dave's advice was always the same. It was so direct and cut and dry. Every caller had a unique circumstance, but Dave always gave the same advice. This didn't sit well with me because personal finance is personal and the advice should be catered to the individual. Dave's program gives little wiggle room for personal adaptation. My wife and I began asking ourselves, what do we want to do next? What do we want to do after we get out of debt? Dave's baby steps are fantastic for you if you want to be an everyday millionaire. Dave hosts everyday millionaire segments on his show that highlight people that have gone through his program. $1 million isn't really worth what it used to be. $1 million portfolio gives you about $40,000 of annual income to live on in retirement. I don't know about you, but when I dreamed of my future, I dreamed about being able to live on a little bit more than $40,000 a year. When we retire, I want to be able to do all the things I've ever dreamed of doing. Go to all the places that I've always dreamed of visiting and be free to spend money without having to worry about keeping a low budget. Sure, I'm always going to value budgeting. Budgeting $40,000 a year versus budgeting $100,000 a year, that's a big difference. We began to realize that what we really needed was not such a conservative financial plan that Dave Ramsey offers, and one that better aligned with our financial goals. Most people working Dave Ramsey's program will work all the way into their mid or upper 60s. We dreamt of a life not full of work, but full of flexibility in life. We didn't want to work our lives away. Working a standard 9-to-5 job where you have to push all of your chores and household duties to the weekend really puts a damper on living a financially free life. When you're financially free, you want to have less burdens and be able to do things that you've always wanted to do. This requires more time. Dave Ramsey's program focuses much more heavily on eliminating debt while slowly building wealth over a lifetime. We wanted to quickly build up assets that would produce income for us. In baby step 6, Dave talks about paying off your house early. The problem with paying your house off early is while that is an asset, it is not an income producing asset. It only saves you an expense. And in reality, the full expense of your house will never be gone. You're gonna have utilities, taxes, insurance. All you're not gonna have is a principal and interest payment on your home mortgage. What you should really be doing is focusing on building assets that produce income, that you can use that income to pay your bills, to pay your debts, to live the kind of lifestyle that you want to live. Focus on building wealth. One other difference that we have with Dave Ramsey is he believes that no one can use a credit card responsibly. He thinks that the credit card companies have set it up to where no one can succeed using their products without falling into their traps. When we first came across his program, we were deep in credit card debt. We had $15,000 of credit card debt. So I agreed with his philosophy that if I didn't succeed using credit cards, that nobody could. But something that I learned along the way of changing the way I viewed finances is that credit card spending is just like any other spending. If you are responsible enough, you can use credit cards as a tool and pay them off responsibly every month without incurring any interest. We have 2 credit cards. One is a 2% cashback card that we use on everyday purchases, bills and such. The second card we have is a 3% cashback card that we use just for going out and dining. Using our simple 2 credit card system, it really is no different using a credit card versus using a debit card. We pay our credit cards off in full every month automatically. We don't even have to schedule a payment. Between the 2 cards, we make anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a year in cash back. Now, $1,000 a year in cash back won't change your life, but if someone's gonna give you $1,000 every year for doing nothing, wouldn't you take that? Now, there are a lot of people in the fire community that use credit cards differently than us. They churn credit card rewards and use them mostly for travel. If you follow a certain system and do this the right way, you could see between $2,000 to $5,000 a year in credit card rewards. Of course, the more money you spend on a credit card, the more you'll get back. Okay, so I know this video was kind of all over the place, but I just want to sum it up for you right here. We quit using Dave Ramsey's program because Dave Ramsey was just too rigid for us. His program did not allow flexibility to personally tailor the program to suit our financial goals. By building up assets and not so much worrying about our debts unless they have high interest. Anything over a 5% interest rate we consider high, and we pay that off before any wealth building. The only debt we have outstanding right now is low interest student loan debt and a low interest mortgage. We're content to just keep these 2 debts around and pay them off through maturity, while we focus on building up our assets through stock market investments and hopefully soon real estate investing. If you focus on building a portfolio of assets that give you an income, you're gonna find that you can hit financial freedom much sooner than worrying about paying off debts first, then building a modest retirement portfolio second. If you're getting value out of the video today, please consider subscribing below, hit the like button as it really does help the channel. It also tells YouTube that this is good content and to share it with others. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you use Dave Ramsey's program or not. What matters is that you're working towards the financial future that you want. If you use his program and it works for you, then great. If you want to find something that's a little bit more individual focused and that you can cater to your specific situation, consider the FIRE movement. The FIRE movement stands for Financially Independent, Retire Early. The retire early aspect is purely optional. The focus is financial independence. Financial independence is about having enough income from your investments to be able to live off those. As part of our financial goals, we hope to hit financial independence in the next 10 years. This will allow us to live financially free while giving us the option to continue to work, continue to build up our assets, potentially do whatever we want. One big difference between when we were on Dave Ramsey's program versus now, back then what we focused mostly on was our expenses. How do we get our expenses lower? That made us cut out our entire lifestyle. We didn't go out to restaurants, we didn't go out to the movies, we didn't go out and do anything fun. What we're able to do now is we have much more balance in our lives. We're able to save almost 50% of our income into investments while still having the quality of life that we've wanted. We do all these things in balance. We don't want to sacrifice the lives that our kids are living right now in our family. We focus on finding a way to do both the investing that we want to do and giving our kids and family the quality of life that we want to give them today. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next video.